Hey guys, today we're going to get into Chapter 3 in our QuickBooks tutorial book. So in Chapter 3, if you want to have that open with you and get into Rock Castle Construction, which is also called Sample Product-Based Business within QuickBooks. You can just go to File, Open Previous Company, and then find the company in your list. So today we're going to look at some maintenance, and we're going to continue just playing around within QuickBooks, getting introduced to some of the different features and things we can see within our accounting program. So the first thing we're going to get into on the bottom of page 3 is we're going to go into our Customer Center. And our Customer Center we can find by clicking Customers here in the middle of the page. Now you can see when we go to our Customer Center, it's automatically defaulted to go in alphabetical order. So you can see A to B to C, etc. All our different customers that we have. So all of our active customers that we have in QuickBooks is going to show up in here. You can see whether or not they have a balance or not. So in the balance column, it essentially lists how much money they owe us at the given point in time. We can change this by selecting the drop-down box, and what if we change just customers to open balances? Now you can see only the customers there that show up with numbers. All our customers that owe us money. Now on the top of page 4, it wants us to find Heather Campbell. And you can see she's the third one down here, owes us just under $14,000. So we can get into Heather's account by double-clicking on her name here, or we can right-click and select Edit Customer Job. Oop, I don't want multiple. There we go. So you can see the customer's name shows up at the very top. This is how it's going to be sorted in our list. So always put last name and then first name, just for easier sorting. Then we've got their various contact information here. Phone numbers, emails, addresses, etc. Under payment settings, what are their credit terms? If they had a credit limit, if we have various price levels, and we could also keep track of their credit card information if they're a regular customer. I would recommend not keeping this on hand just for security purposes, but I mean, that's your choice and the choice of the business you're associated with if you choose to do that. We got another tab for sales tax settings. You can see put their default sales tax, so that automatically gets calculated each time we have a sale with them. And then we have the additional info in there if we keep track of our various types of customers. You can keep track of their birthday, their spouse's name, things like that. Send them a card on their birthday, a little cheap marketing trick. Under rep, if you use sales reps as part of a commission system, you keep track of that here. So under sales rep, why don't you click Add New? And why don't you just add yourself as a sales rep? So under sales rep name, we'll click Add New. I'm going to go back and I'm going to do that as other just to save us time. And then once I click OK, you can see my initials show up in the box as the sales rep for that customer. I hit OK. I double click on her name again, go back in, come under additional info. You can see the information that I just changed. Adding myself as a sales rep is what shows up in the box. So this is how we perform maintenance on a current customer account. So we can edit Any information that we were tracking about them. We can also need to create a new customer, and we're going to get into that onto page 8, 9, looks like through 11. We're going to add a new customer here. So to do this, we could right-click and select New Customer. We could come up here to New Customers and Jobs and select New Customer. So multiple ways to get things done in QuickBooks. So at the very top here, we're going to type in our new customer, Wooden Nursery. And all this information can be found in the green box on page 8. Here we're just putting in the basic name, address, phone numbers, email address, information. Then we can click under Payment Settings, type in the credit terms, the credit limit, their price level is commercial, put in their sales tax, which is East Bay Shore County. And once we're done, we're just going to hit OK. I'm going to come back out to my customers with open balance, and I'm going to change the drop-down box to all customers. And it's not exactly doing it alphabetically right, but you can see if I go to the top of my list, there's Wooden Nursery showing up. And on the right side here, and then under customer information, you can see the details that we just created. So now what about deleting an account starting on page 11? So first, let's find the account of Ecker Designs. So I'm just going to scroll down here a little bit. Find Ecker Designs here. You see they owe us $1,468. So I'm going to come out under the office repairs here. If we wanted to delete a customer, we could right click, select delete customer job. If I do that, you can see here we get the one that, hey, you don't want to do that. They have a balance or you've used them in a transaction. So that means we've used them for multiple accounting, or at least one accounting transaction. And you can see on the list here on the side, we've got invoices and sales receipts with this customer. So if we were to delete them, all that past accounting information is gone. We have no record of it anymore. So we don't ever want to delete a customer that we've used for some sort of accounting transaction. You can see we have the option make it inactive, and then it would essentially be hidden from the list. So we'll just hit cancel and nothing will happen. Let's go up to hit Cars Pie Shop on the bottom of page 12. So if I click the remodel under Cars Pie Shop, once again I right click and try to delete it, because we've used it in past transactions again, it's not going to let us delete them. So the last customer had a balance, they owed us money. We want to see that money, we shouldn't delete them. This customer has no balance, but still, because we've used them in a past transaction, we cannot delete them, or we should not delete them. We can just make them inactive, hidden from our list there. Well, now here's a dirty trick that our textbook likes to play. Let's go to Wooden Nursery that we just created. They have no accounting transactions associated with them. What if we right-click and try to delete them? Hey, look at that. It's not stopping us. It's just going, are you sure about that? Do you really want to do that? So I'll leave it up to you. If you don't want to delete all the work that we just did to type that in, that's fine. You can keep them in there. Just understand that you can delete customers or vendors or employees as long as you haven't done anything with them accounting-wise. We'll click OK. And look, Wooden Nursery is gone. So much for that. Glad we just put in the effort to create them, and we'll go back to our home page. So remember when we were looking around in the last chapter, we've got the Create Invoices window, and we've got a few different options for opening that. From our home page here, we could select Create Invoices. We could come up to under Customers on the File menu and select Create Invoices. Or you can see the shortcut next to Invoices, we could hit Control-I. All will do the same thing, which is open up our invoice window. So I don't care how you learn it, just remember to do it. As long as you can get it done, it doesn't matter what way. So we're going to go in here and we're going to play around with an invoice. So we're going to find Babcock's Music Shop and the remodel that we're doing. So you see when I select them, it automatically fills in their information. So you can see their address. This is the date that it automatically defaults to, and based on that date and the credit terms, you can see what the due date of that invoice would be. Let's change the date in the box from December 15th through December 20th, and this is on page 14 of your textbook. I'm going to hit Tab, and you can see the due date just increased to January 4th. Under Ship To, we put in the only address we have for them. Ships to the same address that we bill them at. Press Tab, we go down to the items. We can select items that we want to sell them. So for example, we're going to sell them a light pine cabinet. So we can scroll down here under our list of items, under cabinets, and select light pine. Now you see it automatically fills in the description of that item and what we're going to charge for it. So once again, saving us time from having to write it out by hand like we did in the manual practice set. So for example, we can play around changing the quantity. I type in 4 and I hit Tab, and you see it does the extension for us. It multiplies 4 times $17.99, gives us the total amount of the invoice. Down here, automatically factors in sales tax for San Tomas of 7 3/4%. Adds on the sales tax to the amount of the invoice and gives us the total amount due. Now you can continue playing with this. It gives us some more options there on page 14. and page 15 where you can keep adding stuff to the invoice and play with the quantity and play with changing the items, changing the dates, etc. Once we're done, I'm just going to hit save and close and save that transaction. Now, we talked about deleting customers. It's also possible that we could delete or void specific transactions. And it's going to talk about that on page 6 or 7, or 16 or 17, I should say. So we're going to go into our customer center again, and we want to find the customer Lou Plumbing and invoice 1093. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways that we can find that specific invoice. I'm just going to click an L as I'm into the customer center and see it automatically took me down to the L section. And I'll come down here to Lou Plumbing, and you can see on my right side, here's my invoice 1093. So once again, when I click on the customer name, I can see every transaction we've done with them here on the side. So I can double click and open up that invoice that I created for them. So we've got a couple options. Like we said, we either want to delete it or we want to avoid it. And we can just right click anywhere in the invoice, and you see we have the options delete invoice or avoid invoice. If we delete the invoice, any record that this invoice was ever created would be gone. We never know that something was done, maybe some mistake was made, or anything like that. So maybe what we want to do here is just select void the invoice instead. So if we select void invoice, you can see all my numbers now came down to 0. I now went down to them owing nothing. If I hit save and close, you can see it now shows up at a 0 balance on their account. I'm going to show you one more way you can find the invoices. So we can do it under customers. We can see up here we also have a transactions tab. If I select the transactions tab, I can look at specific types of transactions. So what if I select invoices? If I select invoices, and then now all my individual invoices show up on the right side of the screen. What if I want to sort them? So right now they're sorted by customer. Let's sort them by number by clicking number at the top of that column. Now you can see all my numbers are right in a row. So once I do that, I could scroll down here. You can see there's 1093. So use the sorting feature of any column that we have to help you maybe find things a little quicker. Another option to do that, if we go back to customers and jobs, I'm going to go back to my customers with open balances. You can see once again it's sorted by letter rather than amount. So I'm going to click this balance total column. I'm going to click it twice, and you can see now it's sorted by who owes me the most money. So that's another way we can look at our list of customers here, by who owes us the most money. I'll just drop down my box to all customers. I'm going to go up here to new transactions, and I'm going to click, well, actually I'm going to go back to the home page to do it. So go back to the home page and select create invoices. So the next thing on pages 17 and 18 is to use the quick add feature. So we can go back to our customer center and we can add in every detail about a customer. That's the most appropriate way to do it, so make sure we've kept track of them. We can also create the customer from this window once we're making the invoice. So if it's a customer I don't have, I can just type them into the box up here in the upper left corner, the customer job box, and then create them. So for example, on page 18, we're going to type in Abbott Nursery. So we click Abbott Nursery, hit tab, it's going to say, hey, you ain't got them. So we got two options, set up or quick add. Set up, like I said, we can put in everything about them. If I want to do that later, I just want to create my invoice right now. I'm going to select quick add. And you can see there, I have their name in the box. But no address, no details, like automatically defaulted into this before. So now you can go through, you can plug in the items like it's asking for on the bottom of page 18, and you could save this transaction. The automatic entry controls on page 20, we already talked about that. Going through the invoice and seeing the description filled in, seeing the rate filled in. Automatic calculation, we already seen that when we typed in the number. Complete data controls on the top of page 22 means we can't leave the customer blank. So for example, if I deleted Abbott Nursery, left it blank, let's just say we charged them for 25 hours of blueprint services, and I hit save and close, it's not going to let me save a customer, save an invoice with no customer for it. So it won't let us do that. Let's say in the quantity where I have 25, what if I accidentally typed a W there? It won't let us do that. So making sure that we have to type numbers in where we're supposed to. So these are some of the internal controls. Just like in the practice set, we looked through the flow charts, we had internal controls to stop us from, or to try to stop people from doing certain things. Well, it's the same thing in QuickBooks, to try and stop us from doing silly things that we shouldn't. What if we come up to the date here and typed in February 34th? Well, hey, it's going to tell you that February 34th, of course, doesn't exist. So it's not going to let you do anything unless you type in a correct date. Let's come down to our items and find door frame. So if I try to sell 21 door frames, I hit tab, it's going to go, hey, you only have 6 door frames. What are you doing? You can't do that. Now, but the one thing about this, it won't stop us from creating the invoice. So we could come in here and we could type in as many items as we wanted to. Well, how is it going to affect our accounting is that those items in our inventory are going to go negative. So we're going to show up like we have negative 15 door frames. So it's possible that we could be doing this invoice for this job and we actually have these items. So that's a tip or a hint that, hey, we didn't account for one of our purchase orders here. We didn't show that we bought that inventory, if we do indeed have one. Or it'll be the warning to tell us, hey, you don't have that. You can't sell that to them. And then page 24 also talks about passwords, which unfortunately, as we get into the assignments now in this chapter, each assignment's going to be password protected with just the name of the chapter. And that'll always be on the top of your question sheet. I apologize, I don't like it that way, but that's what this version of QuickBooks is forcing us to do. So there's chapter 3. Keep playing around, keep trying to get experience with the program, and I'll see you in chapter 4.